Hey, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Monday. Start of the work week is upon us. It is about 12:27 p.m. California time here. Monday, August 19th, 2024 is the date. Latest activity here on the globe shows a little small microquake there across the northern California region. Looks like Southern California is still seeing a little bit of earthquake activity, and more noticeably here across this area of the state portion of the state here, with a earthquake coming in the last hour, a 2.6 here off of the Camp Rock Emerson Copper Mountain Fault Zone. So we're noticing a little bit of increasing strain out here against the plate boundary, of course, and there was a handful of other earthquakes there. Looks like mainly some smaller quakes, but definitely seen a little bit of uptick in the southern portion of the state here today. A couple other smaller quakes down south here within the last hour. Still seeing some aftershock sequences here in the Bakersfield area. I want to get a total tally here real quick, see what we got. Just about 678 earthquakes here in the last, it's going to be the last 2 weeks just about here, since we've seen that 5.2 earthquake strike on the 6th of August here. So, it's still looking pretty active out here in terms of seeing the continuous aftershock sequences here. That's a lot of earthquake activity. Let's see what we've got so far for the largest. Going to be that 5.2 again on the 6th. Then the largest aftershock here was a 4.6, about 1 minute following the main quake, and a handful of 4s and 3s in there as well. So nothing big yet following this activity. There's still obviously a little aftershock events taking place here today. Also, another separate area here across the Ridgecrest area seeing some increasing activity. And down across the Puente Hills Thrust Fault, not seeing too much activity out here. Just a couple smaller microquakes in the last 24 hours, but really nothing of any uptick yet. But various areas out here across Southern California are showing that elevated activity today. And we'll keep an eye on this region. Seems like we got 1, 2, there was a swarm down here, 3, and then the activity up here across the Puente Hills Thrust Fault, 4, 5, maybe 5, 6 different locations out here that we're watching. Generally in this area right here, roughly about the Garlock Fault shear zone, a little bit north here, southward into this area. And that's where the majority of the earthquake activity has been confined here. We haven't really seen a whole bunch of earthquake activity up north in Northern California in the last couple weeks. So continue to keep an eye here on the Southern California area. Again, 2.6 coming into the Lucerne Valley area just about a half an hour or so ago in this area. A couple more 2s there yesterday from the Bakersfield area, mixing in with all that microquake activity. That's still pretty active out here. All right, so let's see. North, aside from some very small microquake activity out here along the creeping section of the San Andreas Fault, really not seeing anything going on around the main area, around the Bay Area. Fairly quiet. Clear Lake Volcanic Field still seeing some earthquake activity. That's going to be the hydrothermal plants out there. And Northern California, very small microquake activity. Really nothing going on there for now. Up in the Washington area, a few small quakes around the Mount St. Helens area. And got one earthquake outside of Warren, Oregon, which is northwest of Portland, a little 2.0. Further inland here, one little small quake around Yellowstone National Park. And as far as Las Vegas activity goes, let's see what we got here for a little tally. Looks like they've updated all the magnitudes here. You guys remember that little odd path that was taken headed down towards the Las Vegas area when we were seeing this earthquake activity? Well, all that has disappeared, and they've basically put all the earthquakes here in one area. So they may have been just earthquakes coming in, but the location was not accurate. So either way, we got about 64 earthquakes here in this area outside of Indian Springs, Nevada. And a couple of those, I believe, from today, but looks like things may be calming down out there in terms of the multitude of quakes Let me check out Yellowstone here since we had that one little earthquake pop up. Really not seeing anything else show up here across the area. If you guys are wondering what this blue dark line here is, going to be some thunderstorm activity or wind events from yesterday. As far as earthquake activity goes, I do see one little spike. That's probably going to be that 1.7. Aside from that, things are actually pretty quiet out there. Yeah, look at Southern California lighting up a little bit here in the last hour for sure. Texas region, oil fields getting hit. Oklahoma about the same as well. Far as Hawaii goes out here, got a little bit of movement stretching out and about here from the Kilauea volcano off to the lower east rift zone here, where we've got a couple smaller earthquakes, 2.1 and a 1.2 from today. So things are, getting kind of active out there. We should see this. Refresh this, make sure I got the most recent update here. We should see things advance sooner or later in terms of either a magma displacement here across the area or a maybe eruptive event out here across the upper, maybe even middle east rift zone. Let's check out a visual out here across the Lava Lake area. Really not a whole lot going on. Barely a cloud in the sky out there, a couple off in the distance, but it looks like a beautiful blue clear morning. 9 o'clock in the morning there, Big Island, Hawaii time. Things pretty quiet out there across the Lava Lake area for now. Deformation data shows leveling off here in the last, looks like the last 24 hours. As you can see last week here, really haven't seen too much vertical uplift here in terms of inflation. So just a waiting game. We're obviously above the previous level reached here back in the end of July. That set off a magma intrusion from the summit off to the upper east rift zone. That's why we lost so much volume here, but we've been going up, and now we're past the previous level. So things are advancing, but uncertain on exactly what's going to take place out here. Could see an eruption across any region right now. Earthquake activity looks a little bit more active today. Quite a few more smaller spikes out here and some larger events as well. Those are 2s and maybe a couple 3s in there. But looking at this graph here, shows a lot more earthquake activity than what's being shown on the USGS map. So they're stating about 26 earthquakes here in this area, and I'm pretty certain that we could have counted way more than 26 on that graph that I just showed you guys. So increasing activity, a little bit of migration here across the lower east rift zone that we'll continue to keep an eye on. Australia, of course, seeing that earthquake activity yesterday. As far as newer events go, looks like that has come to a halt. Let me bring up the Australia page here. This is outside of Perth. There's the map here of Australia. We've seen a decent amount of earthquake activity out here. A couple 4s, some 3s and 2s out here, confined to this area. And it's within that region that has seen a 6.5 earthquake historically. It's been quite a while. I think when was that? 1968. We've seen that 6.5. In this area of the Darling Range. So things can get quite shaky out here in this area of Australia. So we'll continue to watch that region with the increasing earthquake activity there recently. New Zealand region, let's see what we got here. 3.9 looks like underneath the southern end of the Kermadec Trench. Aside from that, fairly quiet across this area of the plate boundary today. Getting some movement up into Japan once again. Couple 5s and 4s stirring up way up here. This is where that 7-pointer struck here a couple days back. That's going to be the 7-pointer, originally coming in as a 7.4, and then about an hour or so later we've seen that volcano erupt here across the area. So that was on the 17th, 2 days ago. Since then, seen a couple 5s and more specifically today, some 4s, upper 4s, and even a 5-pointer there late last night. So things are still active out across this area of the plate boundary. Another 4.6 way up north here. Let's see what we got. That is into the Russia area. Russia's been seeing a lot of earthquake activity here recently. This earthquake just coming in the last couple hours, so continue to keep an eye on this area, the plate boundary. It looks a little bit more active today than other areas. Roughly about Philippines southward here through the Indonesia Islands area and Java Trench active as well. Some 4s and 3s. There's that 5.7 from yesterday there in the Philippines. That earthquake, coming in late last night, it looks like. And up into the Gulf of Alaska, that's actually pretty quiet looking. That actually looks unusually quiet. Normally we'll see a little bit more not aftershock, but microquake activity up here in this area. And there's only 7 earthquakes. That's a little odd. Very odd. Latest one at 1.6 coming in the last hour. South America down across the Peru-Chile Trench yesterday, seen that 5.2. As far as any newer activity goes, there's a handful of deeper quakes in that region. Roughly about the same here for the Middle America Trench, 3s and 4s. And the Baja California area, seen some 3s out here as well. So we'll keep an eye on Southern California. It is showing a little bit of increasing activity out here. All right, let's go check out Iceland here real quick, see if anything has changed up there. Been looking at a little bit of earthquake activity here recently across this area of Iceland, way down here across the Svartsengi area, where they did see that 2.3 within the last 12 hours. Really nothing big going on. No major push of earthquake activity that would lead to almost an imminent eruption, but it's got to be getting close here. Still looking at a fairly wide swath here, lengthy swath of microquake activity, roughly around the craters area, and more specifically around the Lagerfeld region. This is where we've seen most of the earthquake activity, so I'm starting to wonder if we're not going to see maybe some eruptive activity take place here. Have to keep an eye on that. Let's look and see if we got an update today from the Icelandic Meteorological Office. This one was put out today. Magma flows and even eruptions in the craters area can start at any time. We're at a very elevated area in terms of inflation. The volume of magma underneath this area is estimated to be more than before the last eruption back on May 29th. So, I don't know how much more we can handle underneath this area. Got about 110 earthquakes were recorded yesterday. Last week there were about 60 to 90 per day. So it's just a matter of time. The current seismic activity is very similar to the seismic activity in the days before the eruption that began back in May 29th. In the future, or near future, it is likely that the crater series will be affected by magma flows and even volcanic eruptions. So they're thinking that the activity is going to be in the same area as last time in the craters region. But I was looking at that earthquake activity I just showed you guys, and it could be a little bit further south, but we'll continue to watch that. Solar flare activity, not seeing a whole lot out here. There's a number of sunspots currently facing the Earth, and a couple of them are somewhat complex out here, but we're just holding steady, not seeing a whole lot of flaring activity right now. This massive region will be out of sight, out of mind here soon enough, and we are left with a couple individual sunspots out here. I guess if I had to choose one to watch, it'd maybe be this area right here in terms of complexity and stronger flare potential. That's going to be sunspot number 3795, it looks like. A couple other active regions out there on the eastern limb as well. So we'll see what happens here in the days ahead. 99% chance for C flare, M flare, 65% chance, 20% for the X flare probability. No major auroras there in the forecast for now, folks. So things are fairly calm out there. All right, let's see what we got here for hurricane activity. Got a couple. Gilma out in the Pacific, eastern Pacific out here. Reached hurricane status, it looks like. Or tropical storm, excuse me. Tropical storm Gilma. That's an odd name. I don't recall if I've ever heard that in my life. Huh, interesting. So that will, looks like, reach hurricane status here towards the middle of this week and head off towards a northwestward position. Right now, no threat to Hawaii area, but we'll continue to watch that as it drifts further deeper into the Pacific Ocean. And far as the Atlantic goes, let's see what we got out here. Ernesto, way up here. That is still hurricane status, 90-mile-per-hour sustained winds, so out over the open water. But eventually that's going to get caught up and shredded and be taken off to the northeast here. Nothing behind that, so that's good news there for the folks in the Gulf and the East Coast out here. I want to check out the weather models here real quick, see what we got for any. Look at that massive high pressure out here in the Atlantic. Goodness, that is a big one. Let's see here. Let's put this into motion. There's Ernesto that's going to be caught up in the patterns, get squashed and vaporized, so to speak. As we put this into motion, just general thunderstorm activity here across the southeast and the Gulf of Mexico. I'm not seeing anything stirring up out here in terms of tropical development. Let's see, we're getting into September here. Maybe, look at this area down here across the southern tip of Texas. We'll have to watch that. That's a ways out, though. This is the 4th of September. So, you know, I normally just like to look at these long-term patterns just to see what they're picking up on. If it picks up on something, then I'll continue to monitor it and check back on it every single day. But this is a ways out there. It doesn't really show anything of significant formation, but there is some type of tropical development here in the Gulf towards the first week of September. So we'll continue to watch that. And far as cool weather, I mean, we had a couple days out here of upper 80s in California. Going to start warming up here today and tomorrow as high pressure builds in just a little bit, but we got another deep trough out here. Look at that. That is what I like to see. West Coast troughing. A lot of cooler weather coming in here to my neck of the woods. Supposed to be in the upper 70s. Goodness. Come Friday, this Friday, so I am loving it. And then high pressure, obviously, right? Got the dipping pattern, ridging pattern out here, indicating some warmer temperatures way up into the Canada area as well. So a little bit of baking going on out there. High pressure dominant across the northeast and well north of the Great Lakes area. Towards the end of August, yes, it does look like we're going to get some hotter weather out here along the west coast once again. And then I hope we're done with the heat. We'll see what September brings. September, October, I'm ready for some cooler months. I don't know about you guys, but I like it cooler. I know a lot of people don't like the snow. And we don't get a lot of snow here in this area of California. Up in the Sierra Nevada mountains, yes, the higher elevations. But down here in the Sacramento Valley around Chico, Redding gets a little bit of snow, maybe a little bit each year. But down here, not so much. But either way, I just want the cooler weather. I'm happy with the cooler weather. Done with the heat. All right, what do we got coming in here? Philippines right now. Signal of a decent earthquake. Let's see what's going on out there. Nothing showing up yet on the USGS map. This seismograph station just coming in with that reading near the Philippines. Hard to tell, though, how big it is until we get a full visual of it. Little spike of an earthquake there on Barrett. Let's see here. That could be a big, it could be a big earthquake around the region. Philippines could be picking up something maybe around Taiwan or even south of here. So I have to see what this updates to. But goodness, let's see here. I'll give it a second to kick in. Because if it's a big earthquake, I want to make sure I cover that in this update. I don't see anything coming in yet. Seismograph station there, flatlined. And let's check out the amplitudes. Hard to say. Definitely hard to say if that's a really big one or just a distant moderate quake somewhere. I don't see anything yet. So let me check out the EMSC model real quick and see what we have. By the way, Mediterranean area, a little bit of movement here in the last 24 hours, but it doesn't look like there's anything major going on out there today. Mostly 3s and 2s scattered out and about across this area. You can see it fairly broadly across this plate boundary. Very visible. The rest of the Atlantic pretty quiet for now. Let's see what we got here. Nothing showing up yet on the EMSC model. Like I say, this just came in. What did I see up here? 3.6 in Greece. Well, let's see what this next update looks like on the live seismograph. I'm not seeing it show up on any other stations here. Japan's offline, unfortunately. Let me see if I can get that to come back online. Oh yeah, there we go. Goodness, that would not be good. So we'll try and pull up this one right here. Yeah, there it is right here, Japan station. I'm not seeing it though. Not seeing anything around Japan, so whatever it is localized around the Philippines area, maybe even south of there. Interesting. Nothing showing up yet on the map. Yeah, like I say, it just came in, but goodness. All right, well, if it's something big, I guess I'll jump back in here a little bit to cover it, but I'm not really seeing anything major showing up here. And if this was a big one around the Philippines, say a big earthquake, it would show up on the Japan station as well, which, again, I'm not seeing it show up here. So it's not any earthquake near Japan. Could be further south, maybe in the Indonesia Islands area. Huh, taking their time getting it, that's for sure. All right, well, we'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later unless something major happens. It's probably going to pop up as soon as I end this update, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Again, if it's a big one, then we'll, there it is, just popped up. No, I know it's not a 3.6, it's got to be bigger than that. Okay, 5.0. So it was south here, the Philippines, 5.0 earthquake south of the Philippines here. That's why it didn't register on the Japan station. So not a big earthquake, just a little one there. All right, I'm out of here, folks. Have a good day. We'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later on this evening for the Monday update. Take care.